Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are starting with analysis video for 29th of September. So firstly, we see that MS Swaminathan sir, he is no more and he played a vital role. He was the architect of India's Green Revolution. So he was a legendary agricultural scientist, a key architect of Green Revolution. And again, Green Revolution की जब हम बात करते हैं तो it began during late 1960s. So उससे पहले we saw severe droughts that back-to-back droughts were witnessed during mid 1960s that compelled the political leadership and scientific fraternity to look for the solutions, and then we came up with Green Revolution. And at that point of time, again, because of the success, we can say the success of Green Revolution की वजह से we could also address the problem of food security as well. So उससे पहले India was importing and we were dependent upon the imports of the food grains from the USA. And the name of the program was there, PL 480 program, under which we were importing these food grains from the US. So we became a food surplus country, and again, we instead of importing, we firstly self-reliant and then we started exporting as well. Then Green Revolution, again, positives तो यही थे, negatives की अगर हम बात करें, it was more of concentrated and restricted to northern Indian states specifically. When we talk about Punjab, Haryana, and we can also say Madhya Pradesh. So Green Revolution may be specifically, we could show the promotion of wheat and rice cultivation. So uski wajah se aaj ke time mein we are seeing again the problem of highly water intensive crops, specifically again Punjab or Haryana mein. So the solution for that is encouraging and promoting cultivation of millets, which is a climate resilient crops, because again, we have to take decisions according to the climate change impacts. So that is there. And with that also, we saw depleting the soil fertility levels as well because of increased usage of pesticides and fertilizers. So over usage led to the loss of soil fertility. So Green Revolution is a program that paved the way for a quantum jump in the productivity and the production of wheat and rice through adoption of chemical biological technology. So these are the keywords which can be used. Then in Manipur, we see mob tries to storm the CM's house. So there are several aspects now to this issue. Firstly, we need to be clear with the meaning of why ethnic violence started in the state of Manipur. So the instant trigger was the High Court of Manipur ruled that the majority community, that is the Meeti community in state of Manipur, they should be given the scheduled tribe status. So this led to this beginning of this ethnic violence in the state, because the tribal community feels that they, being the minority, they should be given this ST status, and why majority community is being given this status. And apart from this, when we talk about then how short-term measures were taken, what are the possible long-term measures which can be taken in order to ensure peace in the state. So herein we are seeing that despite the presence of security forces, still the situation is not under control. Periodically, we're still seeing incidents of violence happening, people are dying, and even herein one more issue comes in that DGP sets up one panel to look into the allegations of use of excessive force by the security personnel. So this is one side of the picture. And apart from this, now again, tribes, they are saying ki why the valley areas, valleys में majority community रहती है, that is Meetis. तो valley area में ASFA क्यों नहीं implement किया गया है? Why in tribal areas you have implemented this act? तो apex bodies of tribes like Kuki, Zomi, Naga tribes, Manipur mein, they have strongly objected to the Manipur government's notification extending operation of the ASFA Act for 6 months only in the hill districts of the state. So valleys mein majority community rehti hai, wahan pe ASFA is not there. So this is further again leading to more discrimination in the mindset of the people. The milestone in the Hindu marriage reform in India. So nearly 56 years after the enactment of this Hindu marriage, Tamil Nadu Amendment Act of 1967, a young person from Tamil Nadu never thought कि his marriage, the Surya Mariathai marriage, that performed and validated under this act, it could be invalidated also and criminalized by the same Madras High Court, which in 1953 under this judgment had declared such marriages to be null and void since they did not follow the Hindu marriage rituals. So of course, this ground on which this resistance to this marriage, which is named so, it came up in different today than it was in 1953. So what has changed? We'll look into that. When Madras, it did not have a law to support such radically reformed, no ritual marriages. So उस time पे कोई law नहीं था amongst the Hindus. Right now we are having law. So according to that law, such types of marriages, they are not constitutional. They are invalid and void. So 1953 mein we had this Manusmriti was quoted, and the judges observed that solemnization by a priest and Saptapadi was required for a lawful Hindu marriage and declared that self-respect marriages jo hai among the professed Hindus, they were invalid. So they were not in conformity with the marriages that were recognized by the Hindu law. And even the children that they which were born out of such marriages, they were not legitimate according to the law. So completely on the basis of law, such types of marriages were held to be invalid. So what is the basis of the self-respect movement? So one of the important claims jo hai self-respect movement ka, that was ki all forms of customary and traditional Hindu marriages, mainly जो Brahmanical ones हैं, जहाँ पे again हम specifically अगर इनकी बात करें, which upheld the caste supremacy and patriarchal rights of men. So these forms of customary traditional Hindu marriages were basically claimed to be valid under the self-respect movement. Again, इसमें caste discrimination was a part of it, and again, element of patriarchy was also visible. So as per the law, this is invalid. So movement advocated that man and woman, they should enter a dissolute contract to form a conjugal relationship without conforming to any religious practices. So further, in the context of widely practiced bigamy among the Hindu men, the movement advocated that civil registration, jitni bhi sari types ki marriages hain, and they upheld the women's right to dissolve the marriage, remarry, and claim their rights and property. So court, on the other hand, court ne ye bola कि denying the validity of self-respect marriage, obviously this was not upheld by the court. They denied ये case हुआ, the person was denied the conjugal rights, and subsequently 1969 में after Hindu Marriage Act Amendment Act, ये which legalized the Suyamarathai Thirumanam. So this is the name of the marriage. It successfully claimed the restitution of conjugal rights after a new trial. So struggle began from there. Making of this legislation meant that protracted struggle jo hai for Dravidian movement in the Madras presidency and also at all India level भी at time जब Hindu Code Bill draft किया जा रहा था. तो 1944 में Hindu Law Committee headed by B.N. Rao, it was gathering evidence across presidencies to draft this Hindu Code Bill, and memorandums and oral evidences submit किए जा रहे थे. So that was being drafted. तो उस टाइम पे सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट मूवमेंट ने डिमांड किया कि नॉट जस्ट अ फ्यू पीसमेल चेंजेस टू हिंदू लॉ बट आल्सो फॉर वुमेन्स लीगल राइट्स ओवर ऑल अदर कंसर्न्स ऑफ द हिंदूज इन जनरल. So this was
Can I ask one thing? Don't you think that even today we are living under the historical times when we say that customary and traditional Hindu marriages, mainly the Brahminical ones, upheld the caste supremacy and patriarchal rights of men? Don't you think so that today we are seeing the wave of caste supremacy by even Dalits, not only by Brahmins?
that is visible, but still we need to look at कि क्या solution है. तो solution में we are discussing that only कि ऐसी marriage हुई थी. So that has been upheld by the court as invalid according to the Hindu Marriage Act. तो पहले since we didn't have
this means that you agree with this?
Yes, few elements there, such types of marriages do exist.
Okay, this is what I wanted to ask.
Okay, so these are happening. That's what we are basically discussing, and that's how we started with. कि ऐसी marriage को it has been the Madras High Court has upheld कि ये invalid है, void है, null and void है, as per the Hindu marriage rituals. So law इस चीज को recognize नहीं करता है. And still some blocks, still roadblocks, challenges आज के time में भी exist करते हैं. तो जो amendment किया गया, that was radical enough to trouble the union government as much as the judiciary, which was evident the way कि they were either rejecting the validity of the amendment by interpreting the amended act in such a manner that would discourage non-ritual consensual intercaste marriages. So 2017 में Union Ministry for Social Justice Empowerment, which was rewarding the intercaste couples, refused to recognize Section 7 of the Act, and they rejected applications from Tamil Nadu on the ground कि जितने भी marriages and they were not registered under the Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. So everything basically revolved around this act, Hindu Marriage Act of 1955. So last month, Supreme Court of India had to remind the Madras High Court also on the validity of these types of marriages, which basically हमें ज़्यादा तमिलनाडु में देखने को मिलती है, as they are performed without any religious practices and without any public ceremony, but through a declaration of marriage in the presence of relatives, friends, and other persons. So that's why they are invalid. However, one must remember कि जो cumulative effect, multiplier effect देखने को मिलता of the legal reforms for the women in Tamil Nadu, they had a far-reaching impact in various adjudications of the Madras High Court, which held far more radical perspectives on gender rights in the marriage than any other court in India, as in a verdict. So basically, यहाँ पे Supreme Court इस चीज को again फिर से remind करते हुए Madras High Court को यही चीज को वापस से reiterate कर रहा है. So yesterday we saw one of the reports by UNFPA that 20% of India's population would be turning old by 2050. So again, हमारी policies need to be customized accordingly. So India must attune its policies to ensure कि elderly they live a life of dignity. So good part of the world's population is growing older, and India mirrors this trend as well. So जब हम बात करते हैं इंडिया में, again at the same time we also enjoy the opportunity of demographic dividend, and at the same time अगर वहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम जो आ रही है that is skills mismatch या फिर the creation of jobs उस same level, उस proportion, उस rate पे नहीं हो रहा है, तो it might also be possible एक ये scenario भी है कि we might turn old before getting rich. So apart from this, since the number of dependents that would be increasing, so that is one thing that we, again, policymakers need to take into account. So 1 in 5 individuals, they are said to be a senior citizen. This will be, there will be implications for even health sector, economy, and society. So life expectancy is increasing thanks to better ways to fight the disease and decreasing fertility rates in many countries, including India. There are challenges in nurturing an expanding elderly population. So within this macro phenomena, there are myriad other data of importance as well. Like women elderly citizens जो हैं, they outnumber the male counterparts. So this we talked about yesterday कि feminization of old age and ruralization of the old age, ये दो main trends हमें आगे आने वाले time में देखने को मिल सकते हैं. And interstate variation definitely.
So what do you think that policy makers should take into account? What are the 2 steps they should immediately try to do?
Not on immediate basis, but since
on gradual basis.
Yeah, this is going to be like on a gradual basis, the number is going to increase. So firstly, we can talk about the rationalization of pension funds availability as a kind of financial source for them, which can help them. Apart from this, we can also talk about the economy sector mein, like in terms of employment, how they can contribute through their experiences.
Okay, so the first example you gave, that is already working in the form of National Social Assistance Program, where the elder people get the pension of 3,000 around per month.
Yeah, but again, if this number is going to increase in future, so we need to think कि again जो government का expenditure है वो भी हम किस तरीके से spend करेंगे. We can't like continue with that. और भी बाकी factors हमें account में लेने पड़ेंगे क्योंकि the number of dependents is going to increase. So
I think
yes.
Yeah, what kind of steps I can suggest? Can suggest is number one, we need to focus on the cyclic economy, in which the major emphasis should be given on the skilling of the people who are in the working age, so that their salary can increase and they can have enough amount for their parents. Number two, the behavioral actions. We need to uh, we need to ensure that our traditional values, where we had the culture of dignity for our parents, for our elder people, that should be revived in a full spirit, and that can come only with the behavioral revolution, which is the need of today's India. So these are the two steps I can suggest.
Like you can okay, talk about then the role of NGOs can also become important in terms of providing, you know, staying facilities for them, like the old care homes that we have for the elderly people. And in terms of even employment, as you said, okay, that was one part की जो earning population है, जो youth हैं, जो बच्चे हैं, उनके लिए again skilling पे we can focus about. But again जब हम बात करते हैं elderly population की, तो we can think about something कि instead of they being dependent on income or any other source on their children or spouse, they need to be made independent even in old age. So we can work in there.
Actually, if we talk about this thing, so a very brief knowledge, a very brief input I want to say that the people who are in the elder stage in India, especially, they have a tendency to not do the work. They just want to spend their life with their families and with their children. And this is the important bottleneck in India's policy making action, that they can't actually focus on them to get them employed because they are not going to work. They have a tendency to spend their life in the home only. So that is what I'm saying.
No, but that can also be broken because we have again the gig economy expanding, so they can definitely contribute therein. They would be having the flexibility to work the amount of work that they would like to do, so that again they are financially independent. So that can be explored according to me.
So,
So inside the digital world of cookies, we are seeing more digital data being generated. So definitely the privacy concerns exist. Can inadequate security of the cookies, that can also pose a risk to the users. So privacy regulations have had an impact on how they are used on the websites. And apart from this, जो recent India का Digital Personal Data Protection Act है, वो कैसे use of cookies को impact करेगा, and again क्या potential downside exist करते हैं, and can there be excessive can what potential downside can their excessive use have. तो excessive use of cookies की वजह से क्या again और risk generate हो सकते हैं. So how do these cookies work? So think of the cookies as the key to a secure members only club. So in a way, they act like this. And just like the club bouncer recognizes regular patterns and grants them seamless access and cookies, that also remembers person's login information on the websites. So this means you do not have to repeatedly enter the credentials every time you visit a site. So once you enter particular website, so the cookie, it captures and stores your information, and the next time you visit you will not have to enter all your details again. So one of the websites like Amazon, cookies that remembers customers previous interactions from the products they have browsed to purchase. So these things that again they start working once you are again on that same particular website. So armed with this knowledge, Amazon, it's serves of the tailored product recommendations is accordingly आपकी प्रीवियस ब्राउजिंग हिस्ट्री के अकॉर्डिंग आपको प्रोडक्ट्स रिकमेंड किए जाते हैं, एंड इवन कंटेंट में भी मेकिंग द ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग फील लाइक अ पर्सनलाइज्ड बुटीक एक्सपीरियंस. सो these are basically how cookies they function and क्या उनका role है. तो even online shopping carts में fueled by the cookies offer a similar enchantment. So these are things how they work. And apart from this, basically आपका जो online behavior है वो track किया जाता है by the cookies. So different types of cookies क्या exist करती हैं. So session cookies होती हैं. These are a kind of temporary cookies like post-it notes for all the websites, and they are stored in computer's memory only during the browsing session. So जब आप ब्राउजर क्लोज कर देते हो तो दी कुकीज ऑल्सो जो अगेन इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर की जाती है वो वैनिश हो जाती है. सो सेशन कुकीज दे हेल्प द वेबसाइट रिमेंबर एक्शंस as you navigate, like the items in the shopping cart. So session cookies, that's how they function. Then we have persistent cookies. These are digital equivalents of bookmarks. So they stay on the device after your browsing session ends. तो उसके बाद भी ये stay करती हैं. They still remember the information and again your browsing behavior. So persistent cookies जो हैं, they remember the login information, language preferences, and even ads you have interacted with. So they are handy for more personalized web experience when talk about persistent cookies. Then third type is secure cookies. So they are only sent over encrypted connections, making them safer from prying eyes. So secure cookies, they are often used for sensitive data like login credentials. So third party cookies, and they are similar. They come from a domain other than the one you are visiting. So they are often used for tracking and advertising purposes. So these are different types of cookies. So use of cookies, again, it serves a multitude of purposes in the online world. First, they kind of a way act like a digital ID cards for you. Secondly, they foster a sense of personalization for you. Additionally, cookies, they facilitate website owners in gathering invaluable analytics data about the user interaction. Finally, cookies, they play a pivotal role in targeting advertising as advertisers, they use them. So again, advertisers के लिए काफी beneficial रहती है. जब challenges की बात करते हैं तो obviously first is since जो आपका again actions हैं, जो भी आप जैसे भी आप इंटरैक्ट करते हो एक पर्टिकुलर वेबसाइट पे, तो आपके प्राइवेसी कंसर्न्स वहां से अराइज हो जाते हैं. एज कुकीज दे कुड ट्रैक योर ऑनलाइन बिहेवियर. सो इस डेटा को अगर देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ मिसयूज, सो एक डेफिनेटली इसकी वजह से एक डिजिटल प्राइवेसी कंसर्न अराइज हो जाता है. सेकेंडली, जो सिक्योरिटी रिस्क है, when cookies they are inadequately secured, if the cookies are not secured, तो again your data is at risk. Apart from this, जो बाकी acts की अगर हम बात करें, यूरोप में we talk about the general data protection regulation and California Consumer Privacy Act, they necessitate websites to seek your approval before deploying these certain cookie types. So whenever you are visiting any site, तो again आपको एक notification मिलता है पेज पे whether you want to accept the cookies or you want to deny that. So that is one way. And India का जो new Digital Personal Data Protection Act है, that also necessitates websites to acquire explicit consent from the users prior to collecting or processing their personal data via the cookie. So you get all kind of a disclaimer when you visit a website. So this is a part of our data protection law as well. And जो पहले regulations exist करती थी, that often accepted the implied consent. मतलब it was in a way implied कि user has given the consent and आपकी कोई permission required नहीं होती थी पहले. So updated law, it highlights what is the significance of transparent and well-informed consent. So you being aware, आप अपनी पहले permission देते हो to the cookies to again track your browsing activity. And then third party cookies जो है again उनका usage की वजह से भी it can again lead to the user privacy concerns. So again उनका usage minimum level तक ही होना चाहिए. Lastly, we see कि जो data deluge generated by the multitude of cookies है, it can potentially clog the browser, leading to sluggish web experience as well. So कैसे again cookies को manage किया जाता है, that's also important. And conclusively, these are both sweet and complex. They play a crucial role in enhancing your online experience. So that is one of the benefits, but they also come with privacy and security challenges. So how we are going to balance these two things, that becomes important. Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance क्या है? तो basically कैसे function करते हैं? How do they work to maintain cooperation and closeness among the member countries? Member countries कौन सी है? That is important. Why was the Stone Host? It was chosen a secret collective database for sharing intelligence. So let's understand about this. So recently we see जो again India और Canada के बीच में tensions increase हुई है over this Khalistani leader's death on the Canadian soil to the Indian government. Again Canada ने जो allegations लगाए हैं उसकी वजह से we see that Five Eyes Alliance, it has come into the picture, and it is believed to have provided information that helped Canada. So that is why it is in the limelight. So Five Eyes है क्या? So एक ये multilateral intelligence sharing network है of 5 countries which includes Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK and US. So ये basically एक surveillance based and it tracks the signals intelligence. So दो main तरीके से फंक्शन करता है. सर्विलेंस बेस्ड भी है, सर्विलेंस भी करता है, एंड इट ट्रैक्स द सिग्नल्स इंटेलिजेंस. सो हेरन इंटेलिजेंस डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो शेयर किए गए बिटवीन द मेंबर कंट्रीज, अगेन दैट्स हाउ दे आर क्लासिफाइड. एंड which gave the group its title, the Five Eyes. So the alliance between US and UK, it evolved around the Second World War to counter the Cold War Soviet threat. So उस time से it was formulated, and two countries which had successfully deciphered German and Japanese codes during the war, they forged a collaboration to share the intelligence related to signals such as radio, satellites, internet communication. So 1946 में जो alliance था ये formalize की गई through an agreement for cooperation in signals intelligence as well. So इस treaty को बोलते हैं British US Communication Intelligence Agreement और BRUSA. So it was signed between State Army, Navy Communication Intelligence Board of the US and the London Signal Intelligence Board of the Britain. So again, उस time पे इसका scope limited था to communication intelligence matters and only related to the unrestricted exchange of intelligence products. So जो ये intelligence alliance है, it came together in 1940s and it remained a top secret for long. So again, this was not made public. So ये network work कैसे करते हैं? So initially जो partners थे, they're assigned respective signet mandates, and Canadian intelligence officer जो है, they writes in a military general that the US is responsible for Russia, Northern China, and most of Asia and Latin America. So again, regions divided हैं to these members. So goalpost of the Five Eyes, however, it has now shifted following the collapse of Soviet Union. So obviously changes हुए हैं with again changed geopolitics, the emergence of new global challenges like terrorism, growing influence of China. So again, this is also evolved. So Five Eyes now, अगर हम आज के टाइम में इसका रोल की बात करें तो it has become involved in ocean and maritime surveillance also, scientific and defense intelligence, and medical intelligence, geospatial intelligence, counterintelligence, counterterrorism, continuous sharing of intelligence products via secret collective database, जिसको बोलते हैं Stone Ghost. So concerns क्या है around this? So there have been several concerns regarding privacy, security, methods of the working of this intelligence alliance, which remain shrouded in mystery for long. So again, they are basically working in a confidential manner amongst the five members. And alliance was embroiled in a major controversy 2013 में. So the controversy was again disclosure of classified documents by the Edward Snowden, who was a former NSA contractor. So he described this network as a supranational intelligence organization that does not answer to the laws of its own countries. So this was a major allegation that was leveled against this alliance. So आज के time में when we
India
talk
should
about,
strive towards, I think India should strive towards joining this Five Eye Intelligence Alliance, and it should make it Six Eye Intelligence Alliance.
okay, but why do you feel so कि अब ऐसा किया जाना चाहिए then?
There are a
Why
number of
only
reasons.
India? मतलब और बाकी चेंजेस क्यों नहीं? कि इंडिया अगर आप बोलोगे डायरेक्ट मेंबर बना दिया जाएगा तो जिस तरीके से फंक्शन कर रहा है फंक्शन करेगा. तो अगेन जो इंफॉर्मेशन ये गैदर करते हैं, व्हाई इट कांट बी मेड ट्रांसपेरेंट, उसको क्यों नहीं वो मतलब ट्रांसपेरेंटली शेयर कर सकते हैं?
On international level, there is no third party which can provide you fairness and justice in the international law and order. So at the international podium, you have to be very much strong to deal with all the countries. So that is the reason because of which I am saying that if this alliance, Five Eye Intelligence Alliance, is having so much strategic and so much standardized information gatherings among these countries, so India should become the part of it rather than criticizing the rules and norms on which it governs. Because we in the last we have to ensure the safety, security, and integrity of our country. So these works which you just mentioned, like maritime surveillance, scientific defense intelligence, medical counters, intelligence sharing products. So these are the innovative areas where the India can cooperate and actually engage with these countries by being the partner of these countries.
But here I would say कि we live in a globalized and an interdependent world. So merely saying कि अपनी security maintain करना ठीक है, वो primary concern है. But when we talk about the global supply chains, so again things can get disrupted. So
And one more thing, like the death of Canadian Niger has happened on the Canadian soil. So the similar kind of incident, if takes place which having association with the Indian affairs, so we can also have the gatherings from the US, from the Canada, from the New Zealand. So these countries can also actively help us in the time of need when we have to deal with similar cases.
So but solution क्या है? इसकी वजह से solution तो नहीं हुआ ना इंडिया कनाडा के बीच में, तो problems increase हुई.
Solution Solution, actually the solution is very big thing as far as the relations of Canada and India are concerned these times. Gradually the things will come, in control. But about this topic, I'm saying that this Five Eye Intelligence Alliance is something could become a better option for India to deal its, you know, intelligence sharing and having a security apparatus with these countries.
Okay, that
This
is
is
not
what.
a problem कि India member बनना चाहिए, India member बनना चाहिए, but the way it functions, I am more concerned about that क्योंकि यहाँ पे clearly mention भी किया गया है कि जो इन countries के खुद के laws हैं and the way they function under this alliance, वो कहीं ना कहीं it leads to violation of the laws. So these are few concerns that needs to be addressed when it comes to working of this alliance. So even we need to think in this direction, like when we talk about MS Swaminathan sir, he walked ahead of his time. So what again we can think about in today's time? So in that direction, we are taking in steps in context of uh, domestic reliance in semiconductor manufacturing. So his major contributions developing highly basmati rice varieties using technology of mutation for the various crops, application of the genetics for increasing the production, food security, launching programs like Lab to Land. So these are some of the major contributions. And apart from this, innovator, instrumental in shaping the scientific temper. So definitely this is part of the fundamental duties as well. Leading pay rich tributes. Leaders pay rich tributes. So his unwavering commitment to the research and mentorship has left an indelible mark on the countless scientists and innovators. So again, Prime Minister speaking upon his contributions. So these are few important areas. So when we talk about his ideas, he wanted women and farmers to benefit from the research work that is done. So even in agriculture sector, when we talk about, so definitely there is higher participation of the women labor force in the agricultural sector, and the challenges that they face, we need to focus upon addressing those challenges in terms of, getting access to the formal credit and the wages that they are not paid or they are delayed. So these are few areas where we can talk about, and even women, if their participation has increased in the agriculture sector, so how now they can contribute in terms of ensuring nutritional security as well. So that's important. So herein we can again go for the awareness drive for the women agriculturalists, and that can help us in terms of encouraging again the millet cultivation. And again, farmers and fishermen and women. So these are different stakeholders. So he was basically more focused upon these stakeholders. And apart from this, his research and development initiatives related to the coastal systems, biodiversity, biotechnology, eco-technology, agriculture, nutrition, and health. So our current account deficit widens on quarter-to-quarter basis to $9.2 billion on the trade gap. So current account deficit widening, firstly we can think about कि हमारे firstly imports increase हुए हैं या फिर exports decline है. तो exports decline definitely हुए हैं, imports increase हुए हैं, या we can say कि that is because कि imports की value भी increase हो सकती है because of rising price of the crude oil. So sequential drop in the net services receipts, again services exports भी decline हुए, there is fall in the private transfer receipts, contributed to the wider current account deficit and uptick in the oil prices. So these are few reasons, factors because of which our current account deficit has widened. Coming to the Mint newspaper, तो sovereign gold bonds की हम बात करेंगे, तो of late we have seen when we talk about buying of these bonds, so share definitely बहुत ज़्यादा increase हुआ compared to 2022-23. You can just have a look. There's been high increase. So we'll be discussing about again how these can be used as a hedge against inflation, and again, what has been the outlook for the yellow metal, that is gold. So how did this issue of gold bonds hit fair performance की बात करें तो investors have subscribed to around 11.67 trillion units of these sovereign gold bonds, and this is significantly higher. So definitely people, they are relying more upon buying these bonds, and in terms of volumes also, it equals to 122 tons of gold. So total outstanding units after the redemption, it equals to 120 tons. So definitely this has attracted more of people's attention. So what explains this rising interest in these bonds? So macroeconomic conditions की अगर हम बात करें तो that remains uncertain. Basically uncertain ये बोल सकते हैं, it remains mixed. Oil prices, they are rising again, and this will again going to put pressure on the rupee. So weaker rupee, it would cause the domestic gold prices to increase further. So जो ये bonds हैं, they have worked well as a hassle-free investment options for the investors without the need to again hold physical gold. So again, this is one of the advantages. And interest rate की बात करें तो that is 2.5% per annum, and investment is exempt from even the capital gains tax if it is retained for the full term of 8 years. So these are some of the possible incentives. So that's why it has attracted more of people's attention. So the first trinket was priced at rupees 2,684 per unit, while your latest it was at rupees 5,923 per unit. So you can definitely see there's been an increase in the issue price as well. So does that explain the low redemptions also? Yes. So scheme, it allows bonds issued up to May 2018 be prematurely redeemed. So only units aggregating 1.44 tons, they have been redeemed out of the eligible 23 tons so far. So this clearly means key investors, they see these bonds as attractive investment option, and definitely we can go in for more awareness drives because people, they are not very clear with the idea of कैसे invest करना चाहिए, क्या benefits होंगे. So government's plan to reduce the gold imports appears to be working well as well. So साथ में ये दोनों चीजें can say कि they're linked to each other. So is gold still a hedge against inflation? Yes. We can say again, कुछ लोगों का मानना है कि yes, it acts like a hedge against inflation. And again, जब हम बात करते हैं कि जो people who know about कि कैसे आप again gold में invest कर सकते हो, not just in terms of buying physical gold, तो उनके लिए again this is, we can say कि not really a hedge. So last 2 years में inflation, the US, that has been at multi-decadal high, having touched 8.5%. Definitely rising inflation एक हमारे लिए major challenge रहा है post COVID-19 because of again increased, or we can say tight monetary policy that has been adopted. So this is a far cry from the past. So during 1973 or 79 के बीच में अगर हम बात करें, inflation was shot up to 8.8% in the US due to the oil shock. In the same period, gold delivered annual return of 33% to the investors. So as a good again return option, investing in gold is a better thing. So experts blame strengthening of dollar as the US Fed Reserve, they have increased the interest rate to battle inflation for the gold prices remaining subdued. So यहाँ पे भी again monetary policy decision जो US ले रहा है उसकी वजह से सारी चीजें interlinked है. So outlook for the gold की अगर हम बात करें, World Gold Council says कि demand for the gold, it has been good globally and even in India also. So as inflation eases in the US and Fed pauses or eventually it ends this interest rate hikes, अभी ऐसा कोई decision नहीं आया है. So strengthening of dollar against other currencies, that will also ease, and rupee would also start strengthening. So that should be positive for the gold prices as well, which may start moving up. So India में gold की जो value है वो increase हो सकती है if rupee weakens due to higher oil prices. So again, again seasonality, jo reason that is festival season, maybe we also share the demand for the gold going up. So that can again lead to the gold prices going up. And quote of the day is, we'd like to rebalance our relationship with China to address the critical vulnerabilities. So it's never good when you're so dependent on one country. So definitely we are seeing even countries are taking steps to diversify their dependence upon other countries, because again, this is something which we came to know again, this came to the forefront during the COVID-19 experience. So in terms of that, we can talk about the China plus one strategy, how countries are shifting their bases to other countries, other markets, and definitely India is one of the great alternatives to China. So next we'll continue in part 2 of this video.